Hello, this is Dr. Jawad. Please subscribe to my channel for more up-to-date videos, and thanks for watching. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Jawad. In this short video, I'm going to discuss how your stomach and how your gallbladder all play an important part in how we digest our foods. Now, when my patients come to me and they experience symptoms like bloating, constipation, indigestion, and acid reflux, my first questioning is what's going on with your stomach, what's going on with your gallbladder, what's going on with your liver, what's going on with your pancreas, because if those organ systems aren't working appropriately, then we're not breaking down the food products necessary for the absorption of the small intestines. So let's first start off with the stomach. The stomach is the first step in digestion. Actually, digestion begins with the mouth, travels down the esophagus, goes through the gastroesophageal sphincter or the cardiac sphincter, and hits the stomach. Now, the stomach is just this big mixing pot, and the function of the stomach is to start to break down proteins, but also to absorb calcium, iron, and potassium. Now, the pH of the stomach has to be very acidic, anywhere between 1 and 3. Now, again, with the pH scale, anything more towards the lower number, 1, that's more acidic, anywhere towards the higher number, 10, that's more alkaline. Okay, so we want the stomach anywhere between 1 and 3. Now, the stomach is filled with hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is necessary to start to release the enzymes to help denature the proteins, because the proteins start getting broken down where in the stomach. Okay, so we need a low pH. So once it passes through the pyloric sphincter, then it hits in the journey it hits the duodenum, which is the duodenum is the first part of the small intestines. Now, this is where the liver and gallbladder come into play, which is very important. Now, bile, made by the liver, and it's stored 20 times in the gallbladder, what the function of bile is: 1, bile is alkaline, okay? 2, it extracts vitamins A, D, E, and K. So if you have a poor functioning gallbladder, this is where you get vitamin deficiencies, especially the fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A is good for the skin, it's good for the eyes. So if you have skin issues or eye issues, okay, you're not breaking down enough vitamin A. Vitamin D is actually a pro-hormone. It's good for brain health, it's good for hormonal health, it's good as an anti-inflammatory, it's good for overall mood, it's good for depression. Vitamin E is phenomenal for the joints, again, for the brain as well. And vitamin K, it's good for, again, you have vitamin K1, which is good for blood clotting, and then transfers over to vitamin K2, which is good for calcium metabolism into the bone. Also, to the function of bile, it helps absorb healthy fats. Okay, and also the function of bile is to lubricate the small intestines. So again, if you're not producing enough bile, this is where your constipation comes in. So what happens if we're not producing enough acid and we're passing through undigested food products? Now again, the acid needs to break down the food. So once it passes through, again, the area has to be very acidic. If it's not very acidic, again, the function of the bile is to make it more alkaline. So what happens is that now the next step of the journey is the pancreas. Now, the pancreas is an endocrine organ as well as an exocrine organ. It's an endocrine organ because it releases hormones like glucagon and insulin. It's an exocrine organ because it helps release digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes like amylase, which helps break down carbs, starches, helps release proteases. Now, these proteases, these are the enzymes that help break down protein. The breakdown of protein starts with pepsin in the stomach. However, once it gets to the small intestines, then you have trypsin and chymotrypsin, which helps break down proteins even more in the small intestines for absorption. Also, too, it releases lipase, the enzyme lipase, which helps break down fats. Now, what happens in the first part of the small intestines, if the gallbladder is not doing its job, okay, and alkalizing the food when it's passing through the duodenum, what happens then? The pancreas releases what's called bicarbonate. Now, bicarbonate, the function of bicarbonate is to make the first part of the small intestines less acidic. It helps neutralize the acids. Now, once the bicarbonate's released, it neutralizes the acids. Then this is where the enzymes get released, the amylase, the proteases, and the lipase, to help break down Again, the proteins, the carbohydrates, and the fats for absorption in the small intestines. So if these aren't doing its job, this is where you get symptoms like, because you're not breaking down the fats, this is where you get floating stools, okay? Because now you're passing too much fat into the colon. Also too, burping and belching. A lot of times if you have gallbladder issues, again, you're not breaking down the foods necessary, so you're passing undigested food products through the small intestines, and it's causing inflammation. Okay, it's causing gas, burping, belching, and also too, another common symptom is right shoulder pain. So it's very important that, again, these are all working together. Now, very important is that the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, again, the pH in the stomach needs to be 1 to 3 pH. Now, what that does, if that pH is between 1 and 3, we have a valve in the cardiac sphincter that actually shuts. And it keeps the acid in the stomach. But if we're not producing enough acid, if it's not low enough, this is where you get GERD. Okay? And this is where you get the acid levels actually coming back up into the esophagus. Now the problem is, what do they normally recommend? Take antacids if you have GERD. The problem is, you don't need to take an antacid. What you need to take is more acid, because if you have more acid in your stomach, that's going to shut this valve down so the fluid doesn't creep up the esophagus and you won't get GERD. So when I work with my patients, what I do first and foremost, change your diet. First and foremost, always change the diet. You want to take away the insulting foods, okay? Secondly, I always recommend supplements. Now again, you need to produce more hydrochloric acid in your stomach. And also too, pepsin. Now pepsin is an enzyme that's released to help break down the proteins. It helps denature the proteins in step 1 in protein breakdown. I always recommend 2 capsules with meals. Next, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar, you want to take that about 15 minutes before the meal, because what that's going to do, again, that's going to help lower that pH level. Next, bile salts. So what happens, again, if you're not producing enough bile, now again, one of the ways to produce more bile is actually to take in healthy fats. Because remember, bile is produced by the liver, stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. So if you're taking in healthy fats, your body's going to actually produce more bile, okay? So you want to take in healthy fats. So if you're having trouble with your gallbladder, you want to take bile salts. Now again, you want to take 1 capsule after meal just to start. Okay. Next, you want to take digestive enzymes with the meals, because what's happening, if your stomach is not producing the low enough acid, the bile is not being actually secreted appropriately, so the bicarbonate, okay, has to increase to help neutralize the acids that's coming in the small intestines. And again, you may not trigger enough enzymes, amylase, proteases, and lipase to help break down the food. So this is where you get malabsorption. This is where it leads to, like, floating stools, burping, and belching. So digestive enzymes with meals to help, again, kickstart that pancreas to help release the enzymes necessary for food breakdown. All right, so again, stomach, gallbladder, and digestion, they all work together. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.